In this video, we're going to be completely assembling Minnkota Ulterra Riptide 36 volt 112. And I'm hoping this is the last time I have to touch this trolling motor for a couple years. It's got the base screwed down to a 2x12, strapped down to a table. Tools needed: strippers, cutters, screwdrivers, assorted Allen keys. The first thing we're putting on are these plastic bushings. I guess it's so there's no metal to metal contact. Next piece we're putting on is going to be the control board. Even though our old control board is probably good, tested good, I'm still going to be replacing it just to have a spare. With the new control board, it comes with a whole bunch of heat shrinks. From the battery bank, main positive, main negative. So it kind of looks like these heat shrinks are going to be a little bit too big. But we're going to go ahead and try it on one first. Now you see why I don't have the board bolted down, so it's probably good to do this first before you bolt it. Same process on the negative wire. Alright, then you want to get your main coil. And the coil harness is going to go red-black. Heat shrink them down. And just remember, with the control board not attached to the base, it's a lot easier to do this. And on the other board, it shows the brown capped off with a piece. I think that's what this is for. And on the original control board, it wasn't shrunk all the way. There was a big opening here, so I just used tape. This one didn't shrink down all the way either. This from the coil to the control board. Make sure there's no yellow showing. And these are the screws that mount the control board. 2 on the side, and 1 that goes through the control board. We call this the mounting bracket for the coil cord. Your sensor wires, you want to make sure you come out behind the wire loop. And you're going to be using the 2 blacks for the port side. The gray one goes to the starboard. You see I had left the screws in here. I'm just going to mount the sensor right there. Alright, port side, side plate. You know, I want to mount this sensor. There's a little notch right here for the wire. Just like that. 3/16 Allen key. See there's still some thread lock on there. And I left these screws in there too. We're just going to put the gray sensor right on there. And don't crush your wire, make sure it goes through this notch. And this is going to be the wire clamp. Just make sure you don't pull wires off the board. Because we're putting a new trim motor on, it needs to be fully deployed whenever you put the trim motor on, so you can learn the new trim motor and test the range of it. So we screwed this out all the way on the tilt motor where I think it's pretty close to where it should be. Now we're just going to stick a pin through it and an E-clip. And needle nose works pretty good for this step. Right here, notice all the wires do go under this pin. I'm going to temporarily put in the old steering assembly, to get things lined up until the new one comes in. And while we're back here, let's just go ahead and plug the tilt motor in before we forget. But for now, we're going to leave these off and just put a pin in. And another note, when I took this apart, I noticed that this gray cable went between the pin, almost like it was going to get pinched. That's just the way it came apart. Just like that. You see the cable's not pinched. And right here you can see I'm off by a couple threads. Righty tighty. And here you see I can't manual stow it. If you pull this black clip up and push down on here, that's how you do the manual stow. Alright, so new steering housing came in, looks exactly the same. This is oriented a little bit different. I took this clip off of here, I'm not sure how it goes on yet, but we'll get that on there later. New trim housing came in. Looks like the belt's set all the way to the top of the motor. I'll figure that out. And all these parts came from trolleymotorparts.com. It took about 2 or 3 days free shipping. And don't forget, both these parts tested as good, so these are going to be spare parts. It's just going to latch. I'm not sure how far back exactly, somewhere around there. I'm putting that pin back in. And when I took this apart, I did notice a black washer fall out. I'm pretty sure it's going to go here, so there's no metal to metal contact. Alright, there's a screw that came out of here. We're just going to put it back in to lock the 2 arms together. Alright, I did have to hit down on here for a while, but I got it in there. We're in there with about 2 inches of extra wire. Alright, remember earlier we already put the heat shrink on here. Make sure we get a tight fit. Black to black, red to red. Just make sure this white part comes through the slot. No, it snapped. Alright, Phillips on this side and the other side, same spot. Alright, looks like the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pick this table up and try to get this shaft in here, just slid in there. Alright, so we turned this table sideways to get this motor in here, but she's gone. We're in there. Alright, this is how I've got the motor just sitting on the ground through the steering housing. We're gonna slide the trim motor over the top. Well, it looks like I've got to push this belt down first. I got the belt lined up and I'm just bringing her down. Just try to put it in here first. This is so far the hardest part of this install. And on the trim motor, I'm just pushing it down, leaving all the slack down here. Just trying to get it clipped on. I ended up having to point the motor straight forward with a locking pin in the back to get this to seat all the way down onto the brushes. But now things are about to get interesting. We already have the power coming in, 36 volts, and to learn the new trim motor, you gotta hold this for 5 seconds. So we're gonna hold it. I wonder what red means. So I found out, not only do you have to connect the yellow plug, but you have to connect the motor plugs. Now, hold it for 5 seconds. Green flashing, and the trim motor's learned. We're gonna go ahead and put the top back together. Nut and bolt, you wanna make sure you don't go through the wires. Well, I don't think you can go through the wires, but. All right, we're gonna pull our harness up through here. And it looks like it goes with the ridge to the back. I don't know if this was supposed to come with heat shrink, but I do have some extra at home we're gonna use. Just in case. All right, now we're going to drop the network cord down. All right, there's a piece we took out earlier. It just locks in the cables. Plastic. But I think that's all we need to play at the belt for now. All right, we're going to do the learn procedure one more time. Hold for 5 seconds. All right, just holding onto the belt. And I'm going to try to trim up, I believe. I'm just keeping tension on the cable. And I think we want to steer it a little bit so the prop's facing the right way. And that's how we're looking. The belt's pretty tight down here. I was lifting the weight of the motor, so that's about right. And I got a lot of slack. All right, we're gonna be feeding the belt up. All right, we're gonna be dropping the wheel on. Alright, phone notes. That's how the bottom belt went. That's how the wires went. We're gonna go with this way. It looks like it's gonna get stuck. Just like that. I bottomed out on the bolt and we're not even close to tight. Let's take it back apart. I don't know if I did something wrong or what, but I have like 4 extra teeth. That's about how it used to be. I remember this nut being almost flush with the cover on the bottom. Is it backwards? All right, I'm going with something like that. I had the head backwards the whole time. Looks like it's gonna fit. There's 5 screws that attach this head on there. This one goes in the front center. The other 4 go around the sides. They're all the same. All right, put the side covers on. I'm gonna trim it all the way up. Make sure it doesn't hit the table. That's as far as it'll go. It looks like it's not gonna hit the table. Turn it on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's something else I found out. Right after you press learn the trim housing, you have to immediately go to this before you play with the remote at all. So you gotta go to position the belt right away. Turn the remote on. Press the power button 3 times in less than 2 seconds. Oh no, it's gonna hit. Oh, I think it works still. Also, after I hit the table, this belt got a little bit loose, so I just went under that Allen key with the 5/32 and tightened it under the trolling motor head. Alright, and on the remote it shows the motor's not functioning right now. It's because I'm trimmed up too high, so I'm going to trim down. Right there. Now I should be able to go to home, pick a speed, hit prop, and there we go. Yes it is. Go back to Ulterra. We're just going to hit stow and go for it. See what happens. Hopefully it doesn't hit the table again. Got it. Let me try to deploy it. Oh, it didn't deploy. Oh, there it goes. Alright, so I'm going to try to deploy with a fresh start. I'm going to power it on. Motor not found, motor stowed. Ulterra. See if this still has a delay. Not as much as a delay. So we're going to try to stow from an awkward position. Oh yeah. It's not straight, it's close. Oh yeah, that's good. Alright guys, I was putting an Ulterra together from scratch, from a base plate to a fully working unit, fully programmed. And we also have some spare parts now. We know the steering assembly is good and the control board's good. This ring was actually soldered really good, so I didn't have a problem with the ring. The motor actually works, spins, spare motor belt, spare belt. This actual board, I'm pretty sure, is what messed up. And I really do hope this video helped you repair your own Ulterra. Let's go fishing.